I didn't even notice that. Me both.
How are you holding up?
Have your attention, please.
Yeah, on the court. They do.
Silence your cell phones. Please remember that. Silence your cell phones. We're going to start the meeting. Let's call the meeting to order. Today is Tuesday, it's November the 20th, and we're here at the City Hall for our weekly meeting. If you would, we're going to stand for a moment of silence, followed by the pledge of allegiance. Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, we're going to move right into the, is there any, it's not on here, but I don't have any until later. Does any council member have any comments prior to the agenda getting started?
I have one. I just want to thank the residents for having patience and going as they obtain their permits. With this disaster, my feeling is we need organized chaos, and it's nice that everybody is abiding by that rather than having havoc throughout the city. So thank you for those of you that are obtaining the permits as we request.
All right.
What about, I have a question about what we're doing with the vacant lots.
Can we bring that up later?
Sure.
Can we bring that up under miscellaneous? I've got that and
There.
a couple other things I just wanted. All right, so let's move into, and for the public, as we go through the meeting, you will have that opportunity to ask questions and or comments, but we're gonna wait till we see if we answer anything that you may be sitting here wondering about. Next on the agenda is ordinance 709. First or second reading? Somebody help me. First reading? Okay, do I have a motion to read ordinance 709 by title only?
So move. Second.
Have a motion and a second. Mr. Clerk, if you would sort of give us a little, just a briefing and then read it.
I'm going to let our attorney do the briefing and then I'll read it.
All right, you can defer to him.
All right, this is the same ordinance we reviewed at the last meeting. We did not ask for any kind of action on it. It's designed to provide some relief to commercial owners and residential owners for this initial period after the storm, with trying to get them some opportunities to use more temporary oriented structures while they're holding off and trying to get their permanent construction done.
Nick, excuse me, can you speak up some? We're not hearing some back here.
Sure.
Thank you.
So basically it's in two sections. One section is about residential uses, one is about commercial uses. Under the residential use section, it confirms what we did a few weeks ago, where if you are doing construction on your home and you're living in an RV or camper temporarily on the property, we have said that 6-month period hasn't started yet. It'll start at the end of the moratorium that we adopted, maybe 3 weeks ago or so. It was November 6th, yeah. It also allows a camper or an RV to be placed on a lot now if it's a lot where a house was destroyed or damaged, and it provides some conditions and rules on when that can be allowed, how many, where. Under the commercial section on this ordinance, it provides that food trucks may be used right away for any location that operated as a restaurant or a store that primarily sold food before. No permits are needed for that. Food trucks are licensed by the state, so that's already a pretty safe topic to get into. It also provides that modular buildings may be placed on parcels where businesses were located but that are now either destroyed or damaged. That would be modular buildings under state law, not storage sheds, not mobile homes. Mobile homes are separate. That's a federal program. So again, it's just designed to make things more flexible for the time being for folks who have been damaged.
One quick question. To reference food trucks, are they restricted to, say, the people who ran the restaurant, or all food, or any food truck can come in and get at that location?
Right now, it's limited to the restaurants or food establishments that were in business before the storm. We want to allow them to get back up.
Just not any food truck can come in?
Correct. And I just want to make 2 comments, Mayor.
Sure.
The 6 months, we have in here 6 months for the RVs, that's already in place. But we're saying, because we don't know what contracting time is gonna be, we don't know what repairs, rebuilding time. So if you have an RV, you're permitted and you're actively pursuing reconstruction or repair, you can leave that RV there until you get your CO. So we're not changing what we already do today, which is we've always been very flexible with that, so.
Will they be required to register with the city?
Yes, we have just a little permit, so we'll know, we'll make sure that people who are on that lot should be on that lot, and there's a code enforcement, she's been out trying to catch people at home, to give them their little decal, but now she's gonna hang a card that says just stop by, because a lot of them aren't in town. They brought their RVs down, they're back, so we're gonna capture all of them, but we just ask you to have a little decal. The second thing is, if you're a food restaurant, if you're gonna put your truck, you don't need a permit per se for the truck, but make sure you come up and get your business license. Those were due October 1, so just make sure you come up and get your license from the city. Same for anybody bringing in a modular building.
Reference to the RVs, should, if a person has the RV on their property, but they haven't received their architectural plans and actually haven't started building at the end of 6 months, how is that handled?
We just asked in the ordinance that within 30 days of the expiration of the moratorium, if they make application at the building department. That lets us know they're planning on rebuilding. They may not have their plans, they may not know what they're doing, just make application for your development order so we know you're gonna be repairing and rebuilding.
Your question about food trucks, it is tied to locations, but it's locations that were where a restaurant or a food store previously operated. So theoretically, that owner could allow somebody else to operate a food truck in that location, but it would.
Would it be the restaurant owner, or would it be the owner of the real estate at that location?
I think it'd be the owner of the real estate, but we can clarify that. We can
I
add some
think
more
we
detail.
need to, because we've had issues with food trucks before. I have no problem, I want businesses to come back, and I want to put the food trucks there, but I don't want to see us getting in a situation where we get a food truck from Bill McLaughlin, who just got out of chef school, and decides to open up at.
I can tell you how I've been handling those. I have one previous owner, and they don't want to do the food trucks that are going to operate under their license, and they're basically outsourcing, contracting out their food truck. It'll be at their location under their license, their food truck, and we're saying okay to that. And if you don't have the permission of the owner of the property or the owner of the business, you're not going to have your food truck there. It's that simple.
Yeah, you'd be trespassing if you don't have their permission.
Okay, this is the first reading of ordinance 709. Now that our attorney has given some overlay of that, are there any questions before we call for a vote, even though it's just the first reading? Anybody?
Are you coordinating, Ron Atkinson, 102 South 35th Street, are you coordinating with FEMA on the temporary housing according to your guidelines here?
This has nothing to do with temporary housing. Ordinance 709.
Okay.
Has nothing to do with that. Okay. Ordinance 709 that you just heard the attorney address. Is there any questions concerning modulars, food trucks, and campers? All right. Is there any, we had a second, I'm sure.
Yep, I'm
A
ready.
motion second?
Yep.
Okay.
I'll read it. Ordinance 709, an ordinance of the City of Mexico Beach, Florida, tolling certain time limits during the previously established building moratorium, allowing recreational vehicles and campers to be placed on certain residential lots temporarily, allowing food trucks and modular buildings to be placed at certain commercial lots for 365 days, providing for severability and providing an effective date.
Okay, is there any opposition to the motion? Okay, let the record show 5-0. And for second reading, do we wait longer than next week, or do we move on?
It'll be longer than next week. I need to run it in the paper, so probably 2
Okay,
weeks.
so you'll just keep up with that,
Yep.
and we're okay, Nick, under these conditions with not, I mean, traditionally, we go 30 days between first and second. We're okay with 2 weeks?
As far as I know, the 30 days is just a custom. I don't know that we have any set written rule on
Okay,
that.
I just want to verify that. That has been our custom, but that was under normal conditions. Okay, so we're gonna put that on when you get it run and get it advertised in the proper channel there. Okay. Okay, moving on. Department updates. Fire.
Right now we have Tallahassee Engine Company here, which is 4 firefighters helping Mexico Beach Fire Department. We have one Sarasota Rescue, which is basically an ambulance with trained firefighters on board as well, but they're primarily here for EMS transport. And they are moving out tomorrow. And Bay County have said they will be sending us one ambulance here to facilitate ALS patient care and or transport. We will, as you probably heard or seen, we've used air transport 3 times since the hurricane left us as such, and we will be using that again going forward if necessary. It's just a case of Bay Medical and Gulf Coast are out of action for traumas and so on and so forth, so having to fly people to the likes of Fort Worth, so not Fort Worth, Fort Walton, thank you. And Tallahassee Engine Company is going to move out on the 26th, and at that point Mexico Beach Fire Department will be here on its own, so to speak. We're not going to have the backup of Tyndall Air Force Base, which was normally our mutual aid. They have said that it's going to take them at least 12 months to rebuild Station 4, which is the closest station to us that they used to come and help us. So it'll be basically Mexico Beach and the volunteers at Gulf Breeze.
St. Joe Beach?
St. Joe Beach, yeah. So, other than that, call numbers have been reasonable. We've had a number of medical calls. We've flown out recently 2 helicopter transports. We've had 1 gas leak, which was due to somebody digging when they shouldn't have been without calling and so on and so forth. We really need to keep on top of that. We can't have people just digging holes in the ground. Gas lines are live again. And we just, it's something that we don't want to have to deal with. We shouldn't have to deal with if people play by the rules. So anybody who is demolishing a house needs to make sure that they're doing exactly what they're supposed to do. We've had two small fires. One was just a cooking appliance malfunction. Then we had a generator that somebody was trying to keep quiet, so they built a box around a generator, and the box caught fire. But then next to the generator, they also had five gallon drums of gasoline. So it was a disaster waiting to happen. Luckily, we're close. We got there quickly. We had to put out. But we just need to be really, really careful of what we're doing. Think twice before we do anything when it comes to anything in regards to gasoline generators and so on and so forth, both for the electrical side of things and for the fire side of it. So just keep ourselves safe, keep an eye on everybody else, make sure we're doing what we should do, and we will be there should it go wrong.
Thank you, Sandy. Questions from fire department? Anybody? Yes, ma'am.
We have used the ambulance service so many times in the last 2 years. We will only have 1 ambulance available for this community, and I'm assuming Gulf and everything between us. And
No, ma'am, basically the way it is right now Gulf EMS is taking care of everything on
themselves.
Gulf side. Should we need to call them, we have the ability to call them should we need them. But to have that ambulance here in Mexico Beach, which we've never had before, we've always called
Well,
on Gulf
years
EMS
and
to come
years
to
ago.
us.
Yeah.
It's a case of this is just to, speed up the process, make sure we have somebody here, ALS, that we can.
All right, so we have an ambulance.
We will have an ambulance here.
Here,
Yeah.
okay.
So that's what I've been told by Bay County once the Sarasota rescue truck leaves
Good, you
tomorrow.
were saying, yeah, that's what you were
Yeah.
saying, and I've already been.
Any other questions for fire? Speak up. Thank you, Sandy.
Pleasure.
Police?
Yes, sir. First off, I'd like to say thank you to Philip Hall. We got power in our station today. We've been under a generator off and on, so it's nice to be back in the 20th century. Also like to thank Congressman Dunn's aide and the doctor that had donated meals to the police department's family for Thanksgiving. And also, I'm not familiar with the company, Orange Onion Bears, for sending a bear to one of my officer's daughters, Brittany Medina. So we'll leave that wrapped up, but it's obviously it's a teddy bear. At least it feels like a teddy bear. But in addition to the last 3 or 4 days, we've had multiple arrests assisted by Pensacola, possession for drugs and different types of narcotics after a traffic stop from speed. Then we had another incident where an individual was arrested for speed on the 15th, taken to the jail after citations, and then the next day again, he was speeding again, so he was rearrested back to back the following day on the 16th. As Sandy was just making reference to, we responded to an overdose at the boat ramp where the individual was transported to Fort Walton by Life Flight. We assisted in the medical call and the fire call by traffic control. Police departments have had multiple calls for individuals either picking up scrap metal. A couple of them were found in the backyards where people were walking. And we've also had callers calling in that there's individuals with yellow shirts or different colored shirts. It turns out they were gas companies checking lines. But what I would like to continue, if you see something that doesn't seem to be of the norm, by all means call. I'd rather have myself and the other officers make contact. I'd rather be on the safe side. And numerous calls in the city conjuncted again with other police departments on medical calls as well as the fire department. So pretty much that's about what I have. Thank you.
Questions for police?
I have another question.
All right.
I'm sorry. I was at the police department yesterday, I think, or so, and the only way you can call for telling you that something doesn't look right is 911. There's no, that's what they told me in the police department.
Do you know who it was that told you that? Was it?
Yeah, big tall guy.
We don't have a landline set up there yet.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll give you, make available to the dispatch. I'll give you my number. It's 850-370-0567. I'll give you a card.
Okay.
But
Thanks,
you shouldn't have to
Kelly.
call 911 for something like that.
For emergency.
The
Yeah,
only
these
reason
were
that-
not emergencies, these were weird things.
Right.
Okay.
Well, weird things could lead into something that I definitely want to know about. But, yeah, if it doesn't seem right, just please give us a call.
Other questions? Okay. Dana, are you doing it? Okay.
So,
Now that I know where you are, I want to clarify that.
I think we mentioned this last week, the boil order is rescinded for the city. The mouth of the canal is open as of Saturday. We put out RFPs for dredging and debris and monitoring. Those are up on the website as of Monday, yesterday. Adrian put in the request for advertisement on Friday, so that should go out tomorrow. And because of the holidays, then to give us the 10-day turnaround minimum, those will be open December 3rd and then awarded the 4th. And then water to the west side of town, Philip talked about this last week too. We do have water to the west side with the exception of the south side of Highway 98 because we're still working on repairing the sewer. And until that is pressurized and not leaking, we're not going to put water to the south side of Highway 98.
Is there a projection on the date that there will be water on that side? Just a ballpark figure, you don't have to give me a date, please, just a timeline.
The lines on that side are really
Yes, they
damaged, as well as manholes, lift stations,
Yes, they
so I don't have a time frame.
A projection.
6 months.
There you go.
I mean,
That's a projection.
Well, and that's what Philip will tell you if you ask 6 months.
and he told me that. So that's the reason I didn't make that up. He said 6 months, so.
He's not here, so. we'll-
I know, that's right. He's not here. Is he calling in? I better tell him probably. Okay.
That's a long time.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, and we don't expect it to be, we're working so hard to try to get it prepared, but
We have so many breaks.
I know,
we do.
I know.
You don't need food.
All right, any questions for Dewberry or Dina? On the RFP that we're putting out, or it went out, who vets those? Who when we get those, is it like the ones the council does those?
It's set up so that it's really up to city administrator's discretion whether to put together a review committee or just take it all to council. The thought is if there aren't a lot of responses, they'll all go to you. If we
Okay.
get a dozen, 15, 20 responses, they'll be vetted by a committee that will shortlist them.
Well, the reason I asked, she said the 10-day time period was up on Thursday or whatever day, and then Friday we'll meet and do that.
Right?
And then we'll look at that, Mayor, and if we get a ton of responses, we'll move it to the next week.
Okay.
I had to put dates in the ad, so I just put the dates for the day after, but if we have it on the agenda and then table it for a week.
Okay.
We just have to talk about it.
Just trying to clarify how the mechanics of that, that's all.
Do we already have a meeting planned for
Yes.
Friday?
No, the 4th of Tuesday.
Tuesday.
Just another Tuesday, 1 o'clock.
Okay. I thought we.
Okay,
misunderstood.
are we, any questions for Dewberry? Clark?
I've only got one thing, we're trying to get out of this room. We're trying to get some more room. I've got one potential, but they wanna wait till the roof is done, so they wanna repair the roof, and then we may move into that building. Their problem is they're having trouble getting roofing supplies, so I'm looking January is my hopeful time, and then coming to agreement with them to move in there. And that'd be all council meetings, planning and zoning meetings, committees down the road. They're willing to work with us, so we're gonna hang tight in here for a little bit. We have a mounted camera now, these will be online, it is filming now. So we're trying to get back to how we used to.
We're staying sort of calm.
Yeah.
Everybody's sort of hanging in there, so
That's all
I
I
think
have.
we can get by till January. All right, questions for clerk? We have any money? I mean, you knew, I told you I was gonna ask you that, so.
Nothing yet. We keep on working on the budget to see what we can cut and save. They are getting ready to submit the first request for
Yeah,
funds.
that's under the
So-
recovery update now.
That's coming up, okay.
Can I have some of it?
Only after us.
Any other, then we're moving, or is you next in terms of, okay,
Recovery update.
go ahead.
So we had our first recovery scoping meeting with FEMA Monday, it's a long day. And it looks like what we're trying to do now is, get reimbursed for the first 30 days. So we have, our consultants have been working on all of the documentation for the first 30 days of our expenses. And we'll be submitting those, with all the documentation. We're, I think 13 days of debris, because that's a little more, involved. But we have, staff time, emergency expenses, all of the water, the support from, the rest of the state on our water restoration, all of the expenses for the first 30 days we'll be submitting. I think we made it clear at our meeting that we're broke. We need those, expenses reimbursed quickly, not sure how quick that's gonna be. We're talking about federal government. What we learned is that the federal government typically releases those funds quickly to the state. They get bogged down at the state level. So we had state representatives here, and they're assuring us they're gonna move them quickly. But that was our first scoping meeting. We have 60 days to provide them all of our damage assessments, which we are well ahead of the game on. We've gone out, Dina, Adrian, we've gone out with our insurance adjuster, and we've looked at a lot of that, and we're way ahead of the game. They were very pleased with the fact that we had so much done so quickly and we were ready. We were actually kind of pushy. We're ready to get going, and we're all prepared, so we're moving quickly, and hopefully we'll start seeing some cash flow, coming in within 30 days.
Once you submit, then when can you submit again?
We're-
How does that work?
I've asked the consultants, once we get it going, let's try to do it every week. At the end of every week, submit our expenses, so it just depends on how the invoices come in, and,
They wanted us to wait longer, but we're trying to push it to get the money moving.
yeah, we're moving forward. So we're gonna try to do that every week.
Okay,
David Masters, 110 20th Street. Is there a chance that the Triumph Board would release any of those funds to us?
I can kind of give an update on what we've
Yeah,
done
go
with
ahead.
funding so far. Last week I met with the Florida Department of Economic Opportunity, looking at a grant, a potential grant for completing our LDR and doing all the code updates that we need, the flood elevation work. We have also requested help from them through the CDBG program for stormwater work. The SRF, we've had a couple of meetings with SRF, that's the State Revolving Fund, on helping us with cash flow, and grants and other opportunities. Florida Rural Water, has been great to us. They've given us, I don't know, $100,000 maybe in just a gift to help with a lot of the supplies for the water repairs, and that's
It
something
just
we don't
seems
have to
that
pay back.
the Triumph Board would be
And-
a good source. I mean, this is a disaster that they would.
And I'm getting to that. Dina and I met with Jim Muller, who's the county point person for Triumph, and we're putting a couple of projects together now to present to them. Mid-December is the next deadline, so we're working on that. The pier, the Welcome Center, what else did we discuss with them? Anyway, several of those, maybe the dune walkovers, I can't remember the ones that we discussed. But the rules haven't changed, you still have to create some jobs. So we're working on that. We do believe that, they're gonna work with us any way they can. But, we're still bound by the same legislative rules.
And on the topic of the funding portion of recovery, SRF has granted our 2-year deferment on our loan. So we do not have interest for 2 years, and we don't have to pay for 2 years.
I think we talked about that at the last meeting. And then, of course, our insurance reimbursements. We're still, like everyone else in the room, probably waiting on your insurance company, but we're gonna start, like City Hall, we're getting ready to do the carpet this weekend, fix the windows. So the 2 structures we still have standing, we're gonna try to get reimbursement and get those repairs done quickly. And we're kind of waiting on answers on the rest.
all right. Any questions? That's sort of just an overview of the recovery update. Council, any questions?
Beach renourishment is coming up, have we gotten there, and the dunes and so forth?
Yes, the Bay County TDC, it's my understanding, that, the Bay, bed tax funds, the excess funds, from Panama City Beach, they're sharing those funds with us, and those funds are gonna be used for the beach renourishment end-to-end for this feasibility study. So before, we were just looking at the critically eroded areas, now they're funding the feasibility study end-to-end. So once that study is complete, then we'll be looking at beach renourishment. We do, under our dredging, and keep me straight on this, Dina, under the dredging permit, we're gonna be able to dredge some of that sand just offshore, get it back into our dunes.
For the, yeah, we have the permit for the critically eroded section, but we're still working, we'll fall under Bay County for the overall, for the entire beach.
There's a lot of sand out there that we could dredge and get back on there quickly, and that's what we're gonna look into.
Other questions from council? Moving on to lift stations? Is that where, are we?
We were waiting on one more quote that didn't come in today, so we're gonna hold off on this till next week, but I will tell you that Florida Rural Water, is going to pay for the cost of the first 12.
Yeah, so the quotes we're waiting on, Florida Rural Water combined with SRF. SRF, State Revolving Fund, came in and said they'd even make up the difference, so if the quotes are above the 100,000 that Gary's already given us, then they'll make up the difference for those first 12. So, yeah, hopefully
Okay.
we'll get the last quote in the next.
How many are we out?
The one, the
How many
ones,
lift stations are destroyed?
all of them will need updated panels. This is just for 12. The first 12 that are in the worst shape and that need them.
But more than half.
Insurance is gonna also come into play with this, because they
Right.
were all insured.
And just for clarity, the first 12 is what Florida Rural Water's gonna pick up for us. So no action on the council, that's a donation. It's all of the rest of the lift stations, we're gonna ask you guys to vote on the quotes and let us get those repaired. They're pretty much all in need of repair, right? These
More than
are-
panels? More than
well,
panels?
There's motors and pumps
Yeah,
and.
yeah, there's
Okay.
lots of stuff, but what we're gonna be doing, the first set of repairs, we're considering those temporary, and that's just replacing the panels. Then we'll come back, more permanent, mitigating for the next storm, we'll be elevating those, putting in generators, and elevating those.
And we're also
for the future.
looking at even having backup pumps, because a lot of our pumps, a lot of the lift stations are the same size pump. So if we had a few extra pumps on hand, that way we could just pull a damaged one out, put the other one in, and keep things moving. So that's something else we're looking at.
What about the pipes, in essence, going to the lift station to lift station? We, I thought, had some issues prior to the storm,
We definitely have issues now.
and I figure we have, how are we handling that?
Well, we're gonna have to do, I know Philip mentioned last week, we're going to start with some smoke testing, figure out where we have disjointed pipes and pipes that may have settled or been washed out. So, that's the first step, is identifying those areas, and then we'll have to go in and start repairing.
When do we start the smoke?
I think Philip was saying within the month.
And, I mean, we know there's a lot of groundwater infiltration, we know that.
Can't imagine why.
All right, thank you. Any more lift station? I mean, we through there? That was still added. All right, moving to number 5.
That's the RFP,
Yep, that's the RFP.
you guys had a chance to,
Now, I'm gonna for me, I would like to recommend that we delay that till Friday and have a special meeting, or continue this meeting.
Right, you would do,
Just convene this meeting, or
Friday.
Friday we're closed.
I would prefer Friday morning. If everybody's here, for one agenda item, or one to deal with that.
I won't be here.
I won't be here.
You won't be here. Well, then
I've got none right here.
Can we go to Tuesday? Or does it
Okay.
need to be done?
Well, I don't have mine. Everybody, I may be the only one that doesn't have anything. But I don't think that getting them tomorrow afternoon, or getting them yesterday afternoon and coming today.
Not enough time.
I'm gonna feel better that, I mean, that's an important decision, and I think that's, will everyone be here tomorrow?
No.
I would.
I won't.
You'll be here?
So 4 of us will be here. Can we do it like at 3 o'clock tomorrow?
Since we're in emergency situations, if she has hers already set up, can we accept hers?
this is scoring.
so what you do, the first step is to compile the scores and get a ranking based on that. What the council will do after that is to vote to accept that ranking, or if there's good cause to adjust that ranking, have a conversation and maybe adjust it. But most likely, you're going to have submitted your scores, it's gonna be compiled, you're gonna see a numerical list of the rankings, and what the council will do is approve those rankings.
Again, Nick, can we accept Linda's scoring since she's going to be
Yes.
gone?
Yes,
Since we're in emergency, okay.
right, and she would have just submitted her
I
scores.
I just threw a time out there. What's a good time for everyone? I mean, if we're all gonna be here, if that's too late, we can do it. I just would like for it to be after lunch. So if it's at 1 o'clock, I'm okay with that. Is 1 o'clock okay?
Wednesday?
Tomorrow? Yeah.
No. I'm screwed. I've got to take my wife to a doctor appointment, but I can turn my scoring in if that helps.
3?
Does 3 make it, that may not make any difference? Well, if there's 3 of us here and 2 of them have the score, I mean, that's all we're doing, is looking at the ranking, right?
Very likely what you're gonna do is just look at the ranking and approve the ranking.
Make a motion to adjourn. I mean,
And I will give you mine.
Okay, so if those are here absentee, that's fine.
They can
And there'll be
submit
3
their
of us here
scores.
if there's a decision that would have to be made. Is everybody good with that?
so at the end of this meeting, you're gonna recess till?
Yeah, we're not going to adjourn this meeting. We're
Correct.
going to simply
Recess to 1 o'clock.
Recess to 1 o'clock tomorrow. Good enough?
Good enough.
Okay. All right, miscellaneous, you wanna start?
The next one is the, you've got this document, the additional 30-day extension to the Kaiser Kane debris hauling. This is, we put it out for bid. Remember last week we talked about this, we're gonna extend it another 30 days and put that debris hauling out for bid. It is out, it will be, the bids are due by December 2nd, the 3rd, December 3rd. So this is just to get us through the extension, the 90-day period. You can see what got changed. The majority of it in the back is just the additional language required by the federal government.
Those are the same kinds of clauses you've seen on all the other contracts we've done over the last few weeks. We had to add them in.
Okay. So is this, it's just an amendment to the existing contract, to the emergency contract, and that requires approval?
Correct.
Okay. All right, Chair will entertain a motion to amend the emergency contract, an additional 30 days.
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second, discussion. Any opposition? 5-0, let it show. Okay. I'll keep going, I
Okay.
know you got a list.
La La Lane, you guys remember we put that out, sealed bid, we had the appraisal on each of those lanes, each of those lots was 60,000 each. The bid was for 15,000 for both. My recommendation is not to accept that.
So moved.
So,
Yeah,
we
the
kinda
fact that we
changed.
advertise it, we do have to reject the bid. So,
Rejected.
and just sit on it, we don't have to do anything, but that's all we have to do, is just reject it. We have a motion to reject is it the bid or the lowest?
it was the bid for both lots,
Okay.
15,000.
All right, we have a motion to reject the bid, is there a second?
Second.
Any opposition? All right, let the record show 5-0, rejection.
The next thing I want to bring up, I think Eric's here, there was a question from a local business owner who's going to have a food truck out front, if they could put up a pole barn as, I guess, a dining area.
Shelter area,
Shelter.
you know, pole barn sounds like this big, huge thing, just a stable shelter to where we don't have to worry about a tent blowing away. We're gonna get sandstorms and all that through here now with no trees and fences, and as soon as it starts blowing out that Gulf, it's gonna be sand everywhere and it's not gonna be pretty.
So you're talking about a shelter that we're going to, that you would construct?
Yes, I would construct it, it would be and I wanna call it, for any, I can't come up with a better name, but call the Commons of Mexico Beach. So that it's common space for everyone to use for whatever deemed, but to have a central area that's gonna be there stable. I would put it either on my land, and we were talking maybe, you know, maybe the Civic Center area, I mean, I don't know where yet. I would put it on my land, but as soon as I build a restaurant again, obviously I'd wanna cut it down and get rid of that kind of thing.
It should be temporary.
How
Well,
large are you looking at?
Well, I mean, you know, a year or whatever, I don't know what the needs are gonna be, we really don't know. I mean, it could be, I'm not sure when Mango's gonna be fully up and open, I don't know when, you know. I'm just looking at a stable place that we don't have to worry about it leaking and the wind blowing
Can
tents
you
down.
submit us to something, some kind of little drawing that says here?
Yes, I
the
sure will.
location that you, just
Yeah.
something that we
Yeah.
see what you're proposing.
Yeah, and I'm
Would
not
that be-
talking a huge humongous thing, you know, maybe I don't know, 20 by 30 or something in my parking lot, because I own those two lots there in between. Why not utilize those as a common area? And that's
I
what
like the
keep going
idea,
back to
I
that.
just would like to see what you propose.
Yeah, certainly, I'll bring some up.
Yeah.
Uh,
We meet every Tuesday,
Yep,
and if we just get, I don't mean architectural plans, just a sketch of where you might propose it.
Yeah.
Maybe site 1 or site 2,
right.
something like that.
And if you could get it to me, Eric, then I can make sure we get it on the agenda.
Yeah, we get it on the
Certainly.
agenda.
Yes.
Sure.
Yep.
Fair enough?
Fair enough, yes.
Okay, St. Joe, St. Joe Company, the mayor and I met with the St. Joe Company last week, the days are running together, yeah, I think it was last week. They're interested in helping us, with some land. If you look at the map before you, right here, that's the Public Works Building. This general area, they've asked us to present our needs, our wish list, what we would like to see. One of the things, a couple of things that we would like your blessing on. We have to get back to the St. Joe Company and give them our wish list. It is, the first thing is a government complex where we can, instead of buildings all over, we can get it all in one area. Police, fire, public safety building. As you know, you were already looking at purchasing that 5 acres behind the work yard, the public works yard. We'll need that expansion area, but trying to get enough land so that we have a government complex, a new civic center, an EOC shelter so that the next storm, we have a shelter for our first responders. Just all the things that we've always wanted but never been able to have. So the other thing, Dean and I have been looking at stormwater and some options for regional stormwater area to try to help with some of the brown running into the Gulf. And I'm not going to go too far down that path because we're just starting to look at that, but possibly some land to help with the retention pond to clean the water before it ends up in the Gulf. A couple different ideas, but we need to get back with St. Joe, and those are the 2 items that the city staff would like to see on the wish list. We'd like your blessing to respond to St. Joe and
How quick?
let them know. We'd like to get a letter to them before the holiday.
I think it's a great idea.
And remember, they approached us. Now, we didn't knock on their door. They came to see us with a wish list, and it's Christmas season. I think we always respond to them
And I
quickly.
And I think we should shoot for the moon as terms of acreage. They can always say no, we can always come down, but I think we need to shoot for the moon.
Well, what we can afford to use.
Well,
That sounds better than shooting for the moon.
Well, but it's also for the growth of the
For the
city.
growth.
Yeah.
But what
Yeah, well, that's good.
What Tanya mentioned to me is the #1 need. I mean, that's, to have that opportunity.
Oh, yeah.
Under the existing format of our city, we will never have that, never. We'll be scattered.
Wouldn't it be wonderful to have it all together?
So,
And at some point, we have to think that all that land across the bridge is gonna be developed, so we'll have to have big enough area to take care of that.
are we okay drafting the letter?
Sure.
We won't use shooting for the moon, but we'll imply that. Just sort of slide that in. Yeah, what you got, Sharon?
Okay, seeing as we have lost so many trees and the trashy stuff that was along the waterways that go throughout the community, back in 2000 or in that area, one of the projections was like a canoe trail through there or a water trail in that area. Now that it's less cleanup than it had been originally, because the trees are already down and such, could that be
We could put it on the vision plan, Sharon.
On the vision plan?
On the vision plan, we sure
Okay,
can.
yeah.
Draw it on that, you know, we just sort of open up and think about those things.
Yeah, that would really help, seeing as the beach and such has been anyway.
All right, so we're satisfied to go ahead, everybody's comfortable with getting the letter out, see how they're.
I have one question real quick.
Yes, sir.
How would you access that property?
There's a road already there, Joe Road, I think is the name of it, right, runs between the Ocean Plantation and Casuna.
So it would not be access, you're not talking about accessing from 20th, 22nd, or through here, right?
We're not that far, but we did envision that.
We didn't want that.
Good.
Okay, I have a question. If that's the access road you're talking about to this whole government complex, 15 is a nightmare now. If everybody's gonna be going up Joe Road to get to this complex. You can't walk on that
Well, let me just
street?
show you the map, just so you have an idea. Everything green is Joe.
Yeah.
They're the only people that surround us.
Mhm.
So there's gonna have to be some concession somewhere if we're gonna do anything. We have no other place to go.
There's no access off of
Does
98?
386 come right in there?
No, 386
No,
doesn't,
this-
touch 98 doesn't.
No.
touch it.
No.
Well, I have a problem with that.
Why can't you access
Okay.
it from the boat?
Huh?
Yeah. What about the boat ramp?
Red's not an option, green's the only option.
Yeah.
Is red Tyndall?
No, red is Bonfire Beach. Hey, look, let's don't act like we're drawing a road in here today.
It's not.
Let's look at, this is just the absolute first meeting, so don't everybody think that nobody wants the street in, nobody wants any more cars in front of their house. We understand that, but we've gotta have some vision of how we can get the types of things this community needs. So bear with us. Don't jump to,
What happens to this building that's brand new and the other one?
I don't know, we'll put it on the vision plan.
These-
I don't know.
We're just in the first step.
I don't
We're
know.
just
Is
Is this
Yeah,
Gulf County?
yeah. I
Or
don't
are you talking,
think
this is Bay County?
It's north of us,
Yeah,
right?
Bay County,
Okay.
Bay County. All
I
right.
don't think we've gotten that to step two.
Now, we're gonna see what Joe tells us. They'll have some good ideas too. Any other questions concerning the letter and the possibility of gaining some property to do some reconfiguring of municipal needs? Okay, and you're gonna get that ready and we're gonna get that to them. All right, what else is on your list?
I just wanna go through demolition and make sure everybody understands structure demolition. We've had multiple meetings with DEP, we had it came up in our scoping meeting yesterday with, FEMA. So it's kind of twofold. One is the permitting process, what's required from DEP, what's required from the city. The other piece is, we have to be very, very careful that we're not what FEMA calls double dipping. If FEMA is reimbursing us for picking up debris on the right of way, if your insurance company is paying you to demolish that structure and to haul it off, you can't push it to the right of way. Because if you push it to the right of way, then you've been paid for it by your insurance company. We're picking it up, FEMA's reimbursing us, that's double dipping. And we jeopardize and put at risk our reimbursement for the city if we do that. If you are demolishing a commercial structure, you have to go through the DEP process, the asbestos. You have to have that, someone come out, test the sample, the whole process with DEP. We have no control over that. If you are demoing a residential structure, 4 or less units, all you have to do is come up here and get a permit from the city, so we'll know where you're working. You have to call, as the fire chief said, 811 to make sure those utilities are marked. And then if you are a property owner, you've got a volunteer organization, you don't have insurance, they can push that to the right of way and we'll pick it up. If it's being covered by insurance, your debris hauler has to haul it off. We cannot pick that up. But we're trying to be as accommodating as we can, but my job is to make sure that the city gets every dollar that we spent and that we're entitled to. So if you're a if you're a demolition guy, we just ask you to follow that simple rule. If that person has insurance and they're getting reimbursed, you have to haul it off, you can't push it to the right of way.
Is there something, I hate adding anything else to a permit or anything, but how are we going to try and ensure that we're not having double dipping and then we, the community, get in trouble, which means we have to pay more taxes as citizens? Is there a line on the permit that states that something that they're not double dipping?
There is not a line on the permit, but when you come to get your permit, we're advising you of that. And that's our job, is to make sure that we're letting you know that whether or not you can push it to the right of way based on how it's being reimbursed.
Can we put not something they have to sign or do anything or attest to, but at least a statement on the permit?
We could.
So when they sign the permit, that it's there, so FEMA comes back and says, Bill McLaughlin got insurance money, and we can say, look, we did our best I can.
We
And
can do that.
I'd like to do that, because I can't go out and we can't go out and look at every individual, but we need to protect ourselves as a city.
That's what I wondered, are we gonna rely on me and our citizens to be truthful?
All of them.
If, and we can work with Nick and get some language to put on that permit form, and, you know, we're not, we just need to make sure that we're giving out that information, and that's probably another check that would
It's a
make
great
sense.
suggestion, because the FEMA folks, they love paperwork.
Yeah, yeah. I don't want to burden our citizens with more things they have to sign or anything, but at least a statement in there, if they did get a permit, they're notified, and if FEMA comes back to us, maybe we can send FEMA to the citizens.
There's a question about the debris. Two types of debris in my mind. There's debris that is just laying on the ground, and then there's structures that are standing that are, while they are severely compromised, they are standing. Debris on the ground, push it to the road.
Correct.
That's what it's all. Structures require what you're just describing, even as compromised as they are, if there are walls, or even though no roof and whatever, if they're a standing structure of any kind, they get the permit, they call the 811, and they go through the process. The one thing that when I looked at the permit application, I noticed that that's mainly for the contractor. Is that for the homeowner to get, or the contractor?
Either one. That's the same permit we've always used for demolition.
Right. Well, the reason I ask that, when it comes to the insurance, if the homeowner gets it, he's gonna know that parcel number, he's gonna know that if he's got insurance or doesn't have insurance. The contractor sort of gets himself in a pickle, so to speak, if he comes to get the permit and he signs it with this disclaimer that Bill just mentioned. Seems like if the homeowner, I guess that's just then the contractor's responsibility to then ask the homeowner.
And you can go online and look those things up through the county's partial number and everything else. I know you're shaking your head, but it's a business that's doing this now.
Well, but it's not always a business. It's just Frank Smith who's trying to help to somebody that doesn't have any dang insurance. So you got so many, it's not just business. It's just a long cry from business.
Yeah, but it's also government on our backs.
And we can help with the parcel numbers and all of that when they come here. We're just gonna need somebody to, if we add that language to the permit, we're gonna need somebody.
Do you understand that? Okay. I just been curious, you got caught in both sides of that.
The owner said, the owner said everything's good to go and tell me to get started, but then I get going and then, find out that it's not. So I want to make sure I throw myself, but I want to do it the right way.
Well,
and, I don't know what they get for insurance or whatever, but, I give them a price on pushing it through, that's what they tell them to do. But that's why I was thinking, if the owner gets the permit, then y'all could
Maybe
ask the
just
question.
tell the owner to go do it. That's
Or
what
if
you
they
need
got
to
the
do.
insurance covered to cover me, because I want to do it the right way. I've been here all my life, so.
either that or.
And I know you do, you work for me.
Well, what about if we
But
have?
I would say that if we can give you some of those permits, the forms, and if the owners are out of town, I don't know, we can email it to them, whatever we can do to help you, you let us know and we'll help you.
Well, we're not
Get those
trying
to
to.
the owners.
Yeah, because
Is the
anybody
slab,
knows I'm trying to do it the right way. I want to be, straight.
Right.
Yeah.
is a slab, like on the west side, a lot of us have slabs, is that gonna be debris or?
Yeah.
That's debris, they bust it up, they can take it out there, after you call 811, okay.
So maybe the contractor needs to have a sheet of paper that the owner signs saying, I have no insurance, or something
Well,
definitive.
that's up to him.
That if I'm
But
him,
if they come to get a permit, maybe they could.
well,
Right.
everybody.
We do need something else.
We just need to work with everyone.
Yep.
But we get it in writing, that takes you off.
Yeah, that's what I want.
Yes.
When can we get demolition permits?
You can get demolition permits now.
Now?
Mhm.
Oh, yeah.
And lost my train of thought.
I
Go
saw,
ahead.
it'll come back.
The other thing is, once you get those permits, can you put them somewhere on your property visible for those of us who are checking whether or not it's been done properly? Because there's no good saying to me, oh, I have a permit, or the owner has the permit. The permit should be on the property, so that those of us who
Well,
are
if the guy
checking.
working's got it, I mean, you,
Well,
Yeah.
we're going with another thought. What about making sure there's 2 copies, one that goes to homeowner and one that goes.
What we're asking, we're just asking the guys,
I know.
stick it on,
I know, but
stay
I
put
think-
out there to something, a piece of debris, whatever you find, we'll find it.
Pour up, just
Right
leave it
there.
right there in a Ziploc bag and that's leave it right
I mean, but y'all have me thoroughly confused.
But hang on, just hang
So
on.
are we.
No,
when
we're,
you-
no,
when
we're
you
not,
re-
I'm not confused.
When you're constructing anything, you have to hang your permit up, so what's the difference?
But like it says,
Get a
two
permit.
is a lot.
It's gonna be there,
That's it.
it's gonna
It
be
just-
there 90 or 145 months, this guy's gonna be there possibly 2 hours,
Well,
so, you know.
so stapler is a big deal or a nail?
Let's just make it, keep it simple and I think I fully understand the requirements. Shirley, what you got?
Okay, I know I've taken up so much time, but I'm thoroughly confused, and this is one of the big reasons I came. We don't have insurance, we had Samaritan's Purse and Rubicon, and they separated all the piles. It's our 4th pile, the structure's standing, so forth and so on. Now, how am I gonna get that pile moved? It's on the alley, it's separated into bricks, and, well, you know, that collapsed stuff, and cans of paints, and, you know, all of that trash out there, and it's high. Who's moving it? Do I need to get a permit to get it moved?
If Rubicon, you didn't have insurance, Team Rubicon, we'll pick it up, we'll get to it, we'll get to
Yeah,
it.
it'll
Oh, I
get
thought
moved.
they were finished with it.
They are, the city will be, our
Yeah.
debris hauler will be picking up that debris.
All right, thank you. That's
Yes,
what I
ma'am,
wanted.
go ahead.
Michelle McPherson, 1206 Sleepy Hollow. My question is about that, can you put a special stipulation in there that with debris, with the demo, that you have to have the contractor and homeowner signature? That way you have the backup for FEMA. Because then that way it doesn't hold the contractor responsible if you miss something, because then it goes back on the shoulder of the homeowner. So, is that possible to do, but just on this one permit?
I'll defer to our attorney on what we can and cannot do.
Right,
but we'll-
because that
we'll look
protects
at
the
it.
city again, you know.
Just getting the homeowner signature, I think, protects us, but if we need to add.
But if a contractor's pulling it,
Let's
then-
just look at that,
Yeah,
Tanya, Nick, get us something on there that, so that these guys, we're not backed up and causing more.
My idea was to just add 1 or 2 conditions on the permit, not like a separate certification, just say what you can and cannot do, and if you have insurance, you can do this, if you don't have insurance, you can do that.
There you go.
Good.
I remember now, Rose.
Oh, excuse me, go ahead.
Is there any standard for removal of debris? Like, when you're done, 6 months from now, you say, well, that lot has been cleared, but it's still got all the, you know, you can only do so much with a skid steer or something. It needs to be somewhat back to normal. So is there any standard the city's gonna say, okay, does it need to look like this when you're done for resale for land, or?
I can answer that. That's kind of on, next to what I'm getting ready to talk about, the right of entry, getting the debris off the property. Any debris that's already on the ground from the storm, we sent our letter to FEMA requesting approval to be able to come on your property, on private property, and remove all that debris that's already on the ground. We're waiting on approval. Again, if your insurance company is paying you for that debris pickup, we don't wanna come on your property and do it, and that's part of the waiver you'll have to sign. It has all that language in there. But, if you're not getting reimbursement, we'll come on your property, we'll get the rest of that debris and clean it up as soon as we get the authority to do that. We're gonna be getting big debris. The small pieces of trash that's gonna be left up to the homeowner, and then it just falls into our normal, nuisance ordinance that if it's still trash there, we'll ask you to clean it up. But we'll get the big stuff, and we'll just expect the property owners to take care of the small stuff.
Small stuff.
Well,
Okay, just a minute, I want to make sure, I'll get you.
Did that answer?
Does that?
Almost, like today I saw some work they were doing, they were adding sand over the top of lots. So in other words, if there's debris all mixed in the bottom, they were just putting fill in on the top and then you could be landscaped. That's good.
It's a mess.
Yeah, I don't know about adding fill, that's.
They were sand, well, clean white sand going under, you know,
On
a
top of the
building
debris.
across the park.
A house sinks, like we've had.
Oh, that's the roadway.
No, it was going around the house. I thought, they were just, you know, when they
Oh, that's
redone.
where that big washout is, right there behind Finley Cook's house.
No, I thought it was right there across from Parker Park.
Yeah,
It
that's
is.
right there.
That's right, that's where that is. I don't think,
That's road work there, not from the homeowner.
I don't think that's finished. I don't think so. I don't think, no, that's where those big washouts, they were concerned about the road.
Right.
But you're not.
I saw some guy raking the yard there, but I don't.
No, this is heavy equipment, it's Roberts, it's Roberts.
Right, yeah.
That's right.
All right, go ahead.
Just on that FEMA and the insurance, whether you have it or not, has FEMA indicated the repercussions, not just against the city, but if they find out homeowners have done this, is there a way that they're
I
gonna?
don't think they have a policeman out there. I think
No.
we're doing our due diligence to ensure that what the form says,
Yeah,
that
I
they are
just didn't know if
agreeing
the
to
city's
do.
gonna come back and, if they find somebody's got insurance and they tore the house down,
I don't
now
know
they're
what
trying to
they'll
lean
do.
the.
I don't have a clue.
Okay.
I'm not sure the city's not gonna do anything, we don't have time.
No.
But FEMA.
We're gonna rely on
yes,
people on the
FEMA.
form, as Nick just said, here are the conditions, you sign it, and I think that's all we can
If they
do.
jeopardize the reimbursement, there will be no city.
All right, any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
Okay, our neighbor behind us has said, I'm done. He got a check from the insurance company and all this stuff's everywhere. I mean,
That's right.
like this high.
I understand.
So what do we do about that?
That's gonna be, go ahead, Tanya.
That's the nuisance ordinance that's been in place for a long time, and
how long
if
do
it's
we
not eventually cleaned up, we'll be coming on the property, clean it up, and putting it on the tax
And how
bill.
long do we wait for that before we
takes
have
time.
rent?
It's gonna take some time, it's gonna take
Yeah,
some time.
that's not a tomorrow, that process we've had, we try not to invoke it because it's a pain. I mean, it's a process.
Well, he was over there raising Cain because he says, well, everybody else is lots clean. Well, we've been here since the hurricane happened, cleaning our lots, but you show up and say.
Yeah, there's always gonna be, that's all I say.
When it's all said and done, we're gonna be clean.
Yeah.
That's
How you
what I
doing,
will
Alan?
tell you.
I just got one quick, I got two customers, one of them's got a lot at Nantucket. There's no house or nothing there, but he wants me to get the trees and backfill it so he can build a house after the first of the year. I've been putting them off right now. Are y'all allowing that? I'm gonna wait till the first of the year. I don't know if y'all allow.
Cutting the trees, getting the trees out of there, that's.
I can
That's
clear
just-
it and peel
That's
it,
just a
would
tree
that be?
permit, you'll, if you're
He'll
doing,
get the
if you're.
permit,
Okay. Yeah, if you're clearing the lot, that's the same permit, you've always had to get to clear the lot.
What about
But I
the
mean, we can
filling?
go forward on it at any
Yes.
time.
Yes.
I got two people, I just put them
Yes.
off right now, because other people need help.
Yeah, we can do that.
And can I just add,
Yeah.
there is a final inspection on the demos, so if they're not done,
Yeah, final inspection.
correctly.
I didn't, did everybody hear? I didn't hear that.
There's a final
There's a
inspection
final
on the demo.
inspection on any demos.
They go out and inspect, they do a final inspection.
Oh, final inspection, I'm sorry, okay. Anybody else? I heard. Come on.
Is the city sending out anything to people who own lots? Like, we have a lot next door, it's undeveloped, all the pine trees are leaning our direction. Is anything down the road gonna happen with that, or?
If, we've had a few of those already, that's kind of a civil matter,
Okay.
between the two. If they're a danger, then we
Maybe a
can.
big wind, I don't wanna
we
rebuild
can-
something and then have another
Right,
tree
we,
fall on
we can help you out with
Okay.
that,
Okay.
if there's a danger to,
Okay.
Yeah.
structure.
They don't live here, I mean, I think they live in Indiana or somewhere.
Yeah, I have the same problem.
Okay.
I took out 23 trees when I bought that property. But 4 of the trees belong to my neighbor
Next door.
behind me, and everything's grown up, nobody there. And 4 of those trees made it to my property, to my house. Otherwise, I've not had any problem. But we got trees this big around, sticking up 20 feet in the air. A couple of them are still leaning.
Well, ours are full trees, they're just, they've
Yeah.
got the lean going on, so.
Okay, so what if this person does nothing?
Well, we have that process, that's an ordinance
Yeah,
today.
well, we got
so
an ordinance,
it has to
but,
be.
you know, like you say, if you get a lot of rain and some wind, some of that tree may still come over. So maybe there's some way she can get,
Lawyer letter.
Well, I think the lawyer will tell you legally, if you call those people and tell them that their trees are a danger to your house and they do not remove them, then they are responsible. Am I correct?
I don't
The
think,
legality of
that's an
that?
act of God. And God causes trees to fall on your house.
Any other questions before we get away from
But if
Go
it's
ahead,
not
come ahead,
bothering
Sharon.
My problem is Sleepy Hollow backs up to the Catholic Church. The Catholic Church is not incorporated into Mexico Beach. I have gone round and round with them, with Mel, before you stepped in. They will not clean their lot, they won't clean up behind them, and we cannot enforce them to do anything because the priest told me that they're not incorporated. So what do we do about something like that?
Well, we can go talk to them.
I can answer that.
Okay.
They're getting ready to clear the whole thing right
Yay.
now. So it'll be
I
done soon.
I did get their roof off my house,
Yeah,
so
they're gonna tear it up soon.
I pushed it back to them so
All
they
right,
can have
we
it.
got
All
that.
right, that sounds
Anybody else?
great, thank you.
Anybody, any,
Well, one thing, I think abandoned properties are going to become a problem. I really do. I think people just simply not showing up to clean their property.
well, these right-of-way waivers may help us with that. We got, I mean, that, again, that's a process. Remember, Michael just left here about 5 weeks ago, so bear
Or
with
should we
us.
give them a certain time to respond? Not 2 years, but maybe
We've got that.
6 months?
We've got that in the own books. That's already there.
I just wanna make sure we put on the right kind of boots when we're handing this out to these people, where they understand exactly what we're talking about.
Surely we don't think it's time now to do that.
No, but I'd say 6 months.
Mr. Mayor, the only thing I can think of in that, I think the process was to go through a special master. Before, Michael, we were talking of changing that process to streamline it, and do we need to do that part of it?
We still are going to change it. It's not,
It is
it's not complete right now.
Okay.
It's gonna be simplified. The special master
You have
is
this
going to
one?
be
No.
transformed into an appeal
Okay.
process instead of the only way
Right.
to establish a violation.
Jerry, you got any miscellaneous?
No, I've already fussed about it.
Only thing I have is Thanksgiving, April. I didn't mean to skip you under the reports, but
That's okay.
can you give us the Thanksgiving?
Sure. There will be Thanksgiving dinner at First Baptist Church, and there will also be a Thanksgiving dinner in the parking lot of Lookout Lounge. They've got a big tent already set up, and they're getting ready for a nice dinner there. They'll have music, et cetera, et cetera. So.
That's at noon?
Both of those are at noon, correct.
Oh, you can't make both of them. then, can you?
Thanksgiving.
Well, if you stop by one, it's for
Eastern time.
dinner, and then you can go for dessert.
Eastern one central, so.
Hang on.
I wanted to give you
Okay,
a
go
couple
ahead.
of, a couple
I'm
other
sorry.
quick things. We are setting up a volunteer resource center. They are physically out here right now, so when we have people who want to come into town, it's a good way for us to know who's here. If the church group from Georgia wants to come in and help, we can direct them there. We will probably make it a virtual volunteer resource center after a while, so in other words, they'll just have to log on. We'll send that out. Kathy Crum is our volunteer coordinator, so she's been working very hard on getting that set up. We do have the fund set up through the Mexico Beach Artificial Reef Association, so if your church or your organization wants to donate money for the recovery, every time somebody puts in $1 into that fund, it can be matched with FEMA dollars, so that dollar can become $10. So it's a really great way for our community to raise additional money, and so we're directing people to go donate there. And they've already raised, in just a couple of days, they've already raised about $10,000. So hoping for more on that.
Could we furnish them with T-shirts so that everybody in the community knows?
I want them to do a special edition T-shirt. I mean, I
That's
think
fine.
we need a
let
special
FEMA
edition
buy
of
it.
our shirt.
Yeah.
I have a connection, I can do that.
There you go. We had the business owner meeting last week, and I think everyone was very excited to hear that all of our businesses are ready to get back up and running. Everyone indicated that they plan to rebuild in Mexico Beach and to make their business strong here. So that was great. The state has offered to put a small business mobile unit here that will be able to provide assistance, and they're doing they have a lot of different resources that they can bring to bear, and a couple of the business owners I've talked to are taking advantage of that. So I just need to get with you on a possible location for that. but that stuff's moving along.
Thank you.
For
Yes, go ahead.
volunteer hours, when the volunteer center set up, please, whether you know someone here that's just working for a day or here for 100 days, please have them go by, because we get credit for all of that labor. It goes against the match that we're gonna have to pay at the end of all of this. So we need every hour to be counted, so please ask them to come by.
And where's that gonna be, where's the
Right
center?
now, it's physically out here across from FEMA.
tennis court area.
AmeriCorps has that, right next to the tennis court, yeah.
Any other, Nick, you have anything?
I do not. Everybody have a wonderful
Now,
Thanksgiving.
now, we are not adjourning, we are just recessing the meeting till 1 o'clock tomorrow.
Correct.
Okay? Thank you, everyone. Appreciate it. Yes, sir.
I gotta need to.
Oh, yeah.